The original God of War was one of the last games I played on PlayStation 2 before I graduated college in 2005 and then did very little gaming for the next decade while I was focused on my career. Today, we're jumping ahead to God of War 3, the last of Kratos' story as it pertains to the Greek pantheon. Can it go toe-to-toe with modern gaming standards for a casual player? Let's find out. And this is the remastered PS4 version for those of you who pay attention to that kind of stuff. Since this is the remaster, the graphics have been tuned up a bit, but overall they look very similar to what I remember playing 20 years ago, just smoother and cleaner. This was originally released on the PS3, so the increase in sharpness and detail of the graphics is noticeable over the first two games, but the mood and settings are pure God of War perfection. There is a dark and foreboding atmosphere with rich environmental textures and an overall gray, blue, or brown color grade over the top of most of the environments. The few bright exceptions to this make for a stark contrast to highlight important locations and moments throughout the game. Please take a breather to view all of the vista altars and enjoy that gorgeous, if gloomy, scenery. The maps are fairly linear, so it's hard to get lost outside a couple of specific areas, and there are loads of hidden spots to find more XP chests and collectible items. When it comes to cutscenes, I love this era of games where realism isn't so forced that we hit uncanny valley. The cutscene graphics are better than the actual gameplay because of how wonderfully stylized the game's level design graphics are. Kratos always looks great whether playing him or watching him, but the environments feel more realistic in the cutscenes. It makes for a good contrast between gameplay and story. And no God of War game would be complete without some backstory, 2D, monochrome, comic-style storytelling. So strap in because we've got that too. The score is a lot of drums, low brass, huge runs in the woodwind sections, gradually building to heavy orchestral and epic fanfare type tracks. Some even have choirs or chanting, almost Gregorian style stuff. Very few tracks are slow or light, and there is little emotional space to breathe between acts. Each subsequent track punches harder than the one prior with a driving beat that demands you continue forward in this game. Putting it down will be very difficult. Sound effects are fun, clear, and if you have it enabled, also come through the controller sometimes. The cats really hate that. There's nothing special here. Many of them sound like the swipes, thuds, swishes, and shings you expect they should. The voice acting is also great, with some big names hidden here, like Rip Torn as Hephaestus.
The reason I live here in hell!
I have done you no wrong, Hephaestus.
Oh, but you have, Spartan.
Because they're not trying for hyper-realism, this looks like video game characters having conversations, and I was able to stay focused on the story instead of being distracted by lips that don't fit the words. The devs recap the story fairly well in the dialogue of the game, so while I do recommend you start with the first two games, they are not required playing. Read a quick summary and you'll be ready to jump right in. The story is not particularly nuanced, does it need to be in this final installment of Greek treachery? Vengeance, betrayal, manipulation, hatred, hubris, all the classic Greek stories have these, and here they're all rolled into one badass named Kratos. If you have played the first two, you probably have an idea of where the story is going. If you haven't, all you need to know is that the Greek gods pissed off Kratos, so he's here for revenge. You'll encounter combat, puzzles, platforming to various degrees, and often the details of the puzzles or platforming locations tie into Greek mythology and or the plot of the games. It's all very well made, and it feels like a cohesive story despite the different types of challenges along the way. Especially Aphrodite's challenge. As far as the plot goes, your only goal is to climb Mount Olympus, using your cunning and dexterity, to slay Zeus.
Understand this, Athena. Zeus will die.
And any other god, being, or creature that gets in your way. And boy, oh boy, is killing shit fun in this game. Full disclosure though, there is an excessive amount of gratuitous gore. Gore for the sake of gore on top of more gore. Blood and guts everywhere. Every bit of it more disturbing than the last. And lots of female nudity if you get my drift. This is rated M for a reason. Many reasons. Alright, if you're still with me, and if you like putting together sick combos and watching those big hits numbers climb, play on normal or hard and get ready for the time of your life. If you're more of a button mashing hack and slasher who struggles to remember combo patterns, never fear, easy mode may still test your platforming reflexes, but overall should be manageable in the combat department. At least 90% of my deaths were due to jumping very, very poorly. The QuickTime events, or pressing the button they tell you before the time runs out, are also not altered based on difficulty. These are important to finishing off enemies in a way that earns you bonus experience points or to kill bosses. Movements flow seamlessly through combos, and weapon swapping takes only a split second before you're right back to smashing and bashing to your heart's content. As you gain access to more weapons and level up your weapons to unlock new powers and combos, you'll be hacking, slashing, and comboing your way right through skeletons, harpies, centaurs, chimeras, and more. The button interactions required for combos sometimes felt too complicated, and sometimes not complicated at all. Like seriously, spamming square 5 times is an easy combo, but pressing the right stick and triangle at the same time requires polydactylism. In general, the platforming was fine, but sometimes when I was forced to move at 45-degree angles, it became extremely difficult to maneuver, especially while using the transportation required to traverse certain spaces. Weapon and item leveling is simple and done using red XP orbs you gather from mobs you kill, chests you open, and, well, you can find that last bit out for yourself. Spoilers. Each level costs more orbs, but as you progress, you get more orbs from kills and chests, so it's possible to level everything entirely before you beat the game, especially on easy mode, because they throw these things at you. The 4 main weapons provide fairly different use opportunities, and I can't speak for higher difficulties, but on easy, I could mostly use any I preferred and get the job done, outside of a handful of very specific cases that required the special abilities of one specifically. Collections vary between godly possessions that you can't use until you beat the game, and items from chests that allow you to increase your health, magic, and item power. It's easy to miss some of these items and chests though, so take your time and explore all of the nooks and crannies in this rather linear game, especially walking into the camera in new areas. Lots of goodies will be missed if you just run off in the direction they want you to go. The game's user interface is simple and easy to read: health, magic, and item power bars. QuickTime events typically show the required button in relation to its position, so a triangle at the top of the screen or a circle on the right. That way you have an extra bit of assist knowing which buttons to react with. It's extremely well designed, and it doesn't feel hand-holdy. The enemies, though, have no health bars, so you never quite know which to focus on when there are multiple mobs, or how much longer you might need to ration your mana. I don't think they're needed, but they would be appreciated nonetheless, especially for those few fights when the phase seemed to last forever, and I was positive I was missing something mechanics-wise. But no, they just had a ton of health. There is a toggleable tips panel that I kept enabled since I would sometimes be a week between play sessions, and this helped me remember all those non-combat button commands like how to shoot my bow or how to grapple. That's such a good feature for both new and casual players, so huge thank you to the devs. The menu leaves a bit to be desired. While stylistically it fits the game incredibly well, I didn't realize until 3/4 through the game that I could press the L1 and R1 buttons to go to different menu pages. That is shown in such small stylized graphics on the main menu page that I never noticed it. I found out accidentally when my cat headbutted the controller. Thanks, Binks. MVP there, buddy. The main menu page shows your weapons and allows you to level them up. Since I couldn't remember the combos, I gave up bothering to try to learn any. Well, I might be better at the game if I had been able to check and relearn button sequences for combos as I played and started unlocking these things. Yes, there's Google, but I shouldn't have to look up combos every time I need a reminder. It should be built in, and it is. It's just not intuitive or clearly labeled. Also, the weapon wheel seems set up for inverted controls, which drove me crazy when I would try to cycle through my weapons to upgrade them. So, what's the grade? Graphics excellent quality for a game that doesn't need anything fancy, and the cutscenes, at least in the remastered version, look incredible. Sound effects never felt annoying, and the music was compelling and masterful. Without question, an A. Story, a continuation of the first 2 games, so nothing unexpected here. This installment of the story earns a B since there were no real twists and turns like the previous games, just pure revenge plot. Combat is perfect. I have judged almost every game I have played by God of War 1 through 3 combat standards. Absolute S tier, A. The controls, however, leave a bit to be desired. Some combos are overly complex for a casual player, and the platforming, while fun, has some moments that may make you want to rage quit. Still, a solid B. Systems. Mainly weapon upgrades, and then the collectibles being a way to improve your stats. Easy A. Interface. Lack of health bars can't take away how clean the UI is and how casual-friendly tutorial mode is over long breaks. Even the menu kerfuffle was a me problem, so we're gonna call this an A as well. Is the game fun? Holy buckets, this is some of the most fun I've ever had in a game. Do I recommend it for casuals? Hell yeah. Easy mode is a breeze in combat, but you'll still have to get good at the jump puzzles. Are there any microtransactions? Not a one. Multiplayer options? None here. You battle the gods alone. For its occasional challenging platforming, but overall linear progression and optional easy mode combat for casuals, I give God of War 3 a crunchy scale rating of Super Mario. I know I started with the third installment for review, but don't worry, I'll get around to setting up a capture card for the PS3 someday, and then we'll tackle the whole original series, including the PSP prequels. Just don't hold your breath waiting. I have both the reboot and Ragnarok to crank through first, so, I should probably go get started on that.